Maya and Illusion, Part 4. The Vedanta says there must come a time when we shall look back and laugh at the ideals which make us afraid of giving up our individuality. Each one of us wants to keep this body for an indefinite time, thinking we shall be very happy, but there will come a time when we shall laugh at this idea. Now, if such be the truth, we are in a state of hopeless contradiction, neither existence nor non existence, neither misery nor happiness, but a mixture of them. What then is the use of Vedanta and all other philosophies and religions? And above all, what is the use of doing good work? This is the question that comes to the mind. If it is true that you cannot do good without doing evil, and whenever you try to create happiness, there will always be misery, people will ask you, what is the use of doing good? The answer is in the first place that we must work for lessening misery, for that is the only way to make ourselves happy. Every one of us finds it out sooner or later in our lives. The bright ones find it out a little earlier, and the dull ones a little later. The dull ones pay very dearly for the discovery, and the bright ones less dearly. In the second place, we must do our part because that is the only way of getting out of this life of contradiction. Both the forces of good and evil will keep the universe alive for us until we awake from our dream and give up this building of mud pies. That lesson we shall have to learn, and it will take a long, long time to learn it. Attempts have been made in Germany to build a system of philosophy on the basis of that the infinite has become the finite. Such attempts are also made in England, and the analysis of the position of these philosophers is this that the infinite is trying to express itself in this universe, and that there will come a time when the infinite will succeed in doing so. It is all very well, and we have used the word infinite and manifestation and expression and so on, but philosophers naturally ask for a logical fundamental basis for the statement that the finite can fully express the infinite. The absolute and the infinite can become this universe only by limitation. Everything must be limited that comes through the senses or through the mind or through the intellect, and for the limited to be the unlimited is simply absurd and can never be. The Vedanta, on the other hand, says that it is true that the absolute or the infinite is trying to express itself in the finite, but there will also come a time when it will find that it is impossible and it will then have to beat a retreat. And this beating a retreat means renunciation, which is real beginning of religion. Nowadays, it is very hard even to talk of renunciation. It is said of me in America that I was a man who came out of a land that had been dead and buried for 5,000 years and talked of renunciation. So say perhaps the English philosopher, yet it is true that it is only the only path to religion. Renounce and give up. What did Christ say? He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. And again did he preach renunciation as the only way to perfection. There comes a time when the mind awakes from this long and dreary dream. The child gives up its play and wants to go back to his mother. It finds the truth of the statement desire is never satisfied by the enjoyment of desires. It only increases the more as fire when butter is poured upon it. This is true of all sense enjoyments, of all intellectual enjoyments, and of all the enjoyments of which the human mind is capable. They are nothing. They are within Maya, within this network beyond which we cannot go. We may run therein through infinite time and find no end, and whenever we struggle to get a little enjoyment, a mass of misery falls upon us. How awful is this? When I think of it, I cannot but consider that this theory of Maya, this statement that it is all Maya, is the best and only explanation. What an amount of misery there is in this world. And if you travel amongst various nations, you will find that one nation attempts to cure its evils by one means and another by another. The very same evil has been taken up by various races, and attempts have been made in various ways to check it, yet no nation has succeeded. If it has been minimized at one point, a mass of evil has been crowded at another point, Thus it goes. The Hindus, to keep up a high standard of chastity in the race, have sanctioned child marriage, which in a long run has degraded the race. At the same time, I cannot deny that this child marriage makes the race more chaste. Why? What would you have? If you want the nation to be more chaste, you weaken men and women physically by child marriage. On the one hand, are you in England any better off? No, because chastity is the life of a nation. Do you not find in history that the first death sign of a nation has been unchastity? When that has entered, the end of the race is in sight. Where shall we get a solution of these miseries then? If parents select husbands and wives for their children, then this evil is minimalized. The daughters of India are more practical than sentimental, but very little of poetry remains in their lives. Again, if people select their own husbands and wives, that does not seem to bring much happiness. The Indian woman is generally very happy. There are not many cases of quarreling between husband and wife. On the other hand, in the United States, where the greatest liberty obtains, the number of unhappy homes and marriages is large. Unhappiness is here, there, and everywhere. What does it show? That after all, not much happiness has been gained by all these ideals. We all struggle for happiness, and as soon as we get a little happiness on one side, on the other side, there comes unhappiness.